Good morning. Where is it a beautiful day?
In this neighborhood.
In the neighborhood.
It's you I like, not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair, but it's you I like. The way you are right now, way down deep inside you. Not the things that hide you, not your toys, they're just beside you. But it's you I like. Every part of you, your skin, your eyes, your feelings, whether old or new. I hope that you remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like, just you yourself. It's you, it's you I like.
Thank you, Beth and Jeff. Our chalice lighting this morning, words by Fred Rogers. Love isn't a state of perfect caring. It is an active noun like struggle. To love someone is to strive to accept that person exactly the way he or she or they are, right here and now. I will. Okay. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Utica. My name is Kim Bywater. I am a member of the Worship Committee. Welcome to What You Bring, Who You Are, enriches us all. We say welcome to your joy, your hope, your pride. We say welcome to your grief, your fear, your anger, and the parts of you that are not yet ready to be seen and heard. Welcome to them as well. For we are a people of faith, faith in our expansive welcome, faith in our ability to grow, faith in the precious gift of the truth, our truths, faith in the promise of trying, learning, changing, faith in our capacity to know ourselves and each other ever deeply. May this time together be a blessing. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory and homelands of the people of the Oneida Nation, one of the original nations of the Haudenosaunee. We recognize and honor these ancestral grounds and support the resilience and strength that all Indigenous people have shown worldwide. Our guest speaker today is a longtime friend and member of the church, and I just love having Janet Stemmer here. Reverend Janet is a former member of UU Utica and a retired CPA. She was ordained as an interfaith, interspiritual minister by One Spirit Interfaith Seminary in 2015 after many years of spiritual study. She now serves on the board of trustees of One Spirit and volunteers as an assistant chaplain at Upstate Medical in Syracuse. And announcements for today. Please join the Climate Action and Grounds teams after service for about an hour today to rake and weed the pollinator area gardens surrounding the church. We'll also ask folks to sign up for a week over the summer to water when needed and make sure the bees and butterflies stay happy. Barb Freeman brought 5 rakes, and so we have some tools here to work with. We have a circle supper hosted by Bob and Letty Umidi on May 8th at the church. There's a sign-up sheet out in the hallway. And also the Fogg family will sponsor a circle lunch at the UU Church on May 9th at 12:30. The information, details, and contact numbers are on the back of your order of service today. Any other announcements? Jeff, any other announcements? Nothing? Okay. Let us open our hearts and minds to the experience of community and the wisdom of love.
Hello, neighbor. As he would say, it's so nice to see you and be with you again. Right. I was delighted when Jeff asked if we could create a service around Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, and while I'm a little out of that generation, I didn't watch it on TV. I had watched, there was a Tom Hanks movie recently portraying Mr. Rogers, and I had seen that, so I had some familiarity. But it's been a wonderful month of going through YouTubes and other stories online and books and reading and learning more about him and what he did. Fred Rogers was a Presbyterian minister, but he initially delayed going to seminary because he saw this a TV show where they were making fun of people throwing pies in their face and everything, and he said, wow, this new thing called TV could do so much better for children. And so he delayed going to seminary until a later time. He believed in the dignity of all. And that commandment that was given so long ago as a Christian minister, love thy neighbor as thyself. And he looked for a way to bring that message to TV. And even though it's focused on children, we have a child within, and it applies to adults as well as children, his messages. I want to thank you for joining me as we explore how he carried that out. And next we are going to start first with a hymn, Spirit of Life. If you will rise in body or spirit, number 123.
Choir, please.
Aha.
Just wanted everybody to see I wore my
And they're going
sweater
to sing it
today.
we're going to sing it twice. I said that.
Twice.
While you were walking up here.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
For our children's story, and this is all day today is children's story because we're all children in our heart, right? Our heart never grows up. It's timeless. We'll start to the next, called I Am Mr. Rogers, so you'll forgive me if I don't sing quite as well. Starts out with, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. If you ever watch the show, how he opens it. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. A neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please, won't you be my neighbor? I'm not putting a sweater on. Says, hi neighbor, I am Mr. Rogers. Said, I grew up in a town called Latrobe, Pennsylvania. It was a small town with a real trolley, the kind of place where everyone knew their neighbors. When I was little, I wasn't popular. I was shy, didn't like sports. Bullies would call me names. We've all had bullies in our lives, right? One day, as I was walking home, I had the feeling I was being followed, and sure enough, some boys were behind me. And I started walking faster, and they started walking faster, getting closer and louder. Freddie, we're going to get you, Freddie. I was mad at these kids and felt bad that they couldn't see me as anything but shy and weak. I cried in my room a lot. How we feel hurt when we've been bullied. I was scared of many things, like going to the doctor, being alone, starting school. We all have things we're afraid of, right? I once ordered an exercise kit to give me big muscles, but it didn't work. But you see, there's nothing wrong with being scared. It's all right to feel however you're feeling. I was also sick a lot as a kid with diseases like scarlet fever and asthma. Stuck in bed by myself, I'd use my toys and make up stories. And this laid the foundation, right? I'd pretend my knees were mountains. I can make it to the summit. Then the adventure would begin, and I'd enter my world of make-believe, almost at the summit. Eventually, I added puppets and even had my own puppet theater in our attic. It had a real stage where I'd entertain family and friends. Telling those make-believe stories helped me feel so much better. Something else that helped me when I was worried or sad, and these are all things that can help us, right, was music. My dad and I would parade through the house banging and strumming away on instruments. Music is the one art we all have inside, whether we're playing it or listening to it, right? We may not be able to play an instrument, but we can all sing along or tap our feet. I wasn't the type of kid who asked for much, but when I was 10, I asked my grandmother for a real piano, and she said, go visit the piano store. So he did at 10 years old. Took the trolley by himself to downtown Pittsburgh. For hours played every piano in the store. The guy must have been annoyed. Finally, he said, this is the one. And he's like, are you sure you can afford it? And the next day, he showed up with a check from his grandmother. That piano, he said, changed my life, giving me confidence and comfort. Think about things that have changed the drift of your life, right? It wasn't just a piano that my grandmother gave me, it was love. It was the same with my grandfather, Fred McFeely, whom I was named after. He'd teach me about the world and myself. And after each visit, he'd say to me, Freddie, you made this day a special day for me. He helped me realize how valuable every human being is, including myself. Isn't that beautiful? The love from a grandparent is so special. Love is at the root of everything, all learning and teaching and relationships. My parents, especially my mom, taught me the value of sharing that love with others. When she heard that a student couldn't afford new shoes, she bought him brand new high tops. Over time, the school nurse would order coats, eyeglasses, even furniture, and send the bills to my mom, who never took credit. Wouldn't it be great if love like that was shown to all kids? Every Christmas, she'd make new sweaters for everyone in our family, and she had all these different patterns. When I would see scary things in the news as a boy, my mother would repeat one of life's great lessons: look for the helpers. Whenever there's a disaster, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. You will always find people who are helping. My senior year of high school, I saw something that changed my life: television. And I watched people throwing pies at each other. I couldn't understand why this new device was being used to make fun of people when it could instead be such a wonderful tool for education. Still true. But there was one thing I knew for sure: I wanted to work in television. So his first job was in New York City at NBC. One of the stars of the show used to talk directly to the cameras. So I asked him, anybody old enough to remember Gabby Hayes? Goodness. I remember the name. Yeah. I asked him how he connected to his audience when they weren't in the studio and he couldn't see them. And he said, I focus on one little buckaroo. I think of talking just to one of them, one little buckaroo. My real break came when a Pittsburgh TV station, WQED, said they wanted to do an educational show for children. This was my chance to bring together all the things I loved: music, imagination, and entertainment. The night before the first episode of our show, which we called the Children's Corner initially there, our station manager, Dorothy Daniel, gave every staff member a little gift, and he received from her a little tiger puppet. Her name was Dorothy Daniel, so he became Daniel Tiger. And on the first episode, they were going to show a movie, and it was live, and this is the 60s. The old film strip broke. Oops. So he grabbed the tiger puppet and shoved it through the scenery from behind, which was painted like a clock. It's 5:02. That was the first time I spoke through Daniel Tiger on air, and I never planned to use it on the show. I was just filling time. One day when our host Josie was having a bad day, she turned to the puppet and said, "I am so upset." "Well, just tell me about it." So non-threatening, right? To talk to a puppet. And as she shared her feelings, something amazing happened. We started focusing on these puppet conversations, giving us a way to talk to kids. It was like the make-believe that he'd already practiced for a long time as a child. But now, thousands of kids were watching him. So he ran around behind the screen, to go from place to place to do his puppets, and his shoes would make noise. So he had to take off his regular street shoes and put on his sneakers, and that became a part of the opening of his show, changing his shoes. So in 1963, after he spent 8 years doing puppets and playing music on Children's Corner, a man named Dr. Fred Rainsbury asked if I would be the one on air. And he said, "Well, I don't know, but he's just look in the camera and pretend you're talking." So at first the show was called Mr. Rogers, but eventually we picked a better name, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I filled it with so much of my life: the small town, the clanging trolley, kind neighbors, music, make-believe. The message that you and all children out there are valued. He spoke to kids directly so they could understand it's okay to feel however they're feeling, even if it's excited, sad, angry, or scared. Invited his friend Jeff, who was in a wheelchair, to come out and talk. No topics were off the agenda. For 31 seasons and nearly 900 episodes, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood taught kids to accept everyone, no matter their difference. Back in the 60s, when he heard that black people weren't allowed to swim in the same pools as white people, he invited Officer Clemens to come to his pool. Officer Clemens was one of the first recurring black characters on children's TV. This is back, in the 60s. The actor, Francois, was surprised when I asked him to be a police officer on the show, but I told him that children need helpers. And I knew he'd be such a wonderful role model. When Nixon tried to cut funding for the TV channel, he went to Washington and spoke to Congress. They wanted $20 million. But the senator didn't seem to agree until Fred spoke. He said, "This is what I do." He said, "I give an expression of care every day to every child to help him realize that he is unique. You've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are." And the senator said, "Oh, looks like you earned the $20 million. In my life, I was shy and sad and sometimes even mad. Ever felt that way? Have we ever felt that way? It's okay. We all have moments when we feel blue. But when we talk about our feelings, they become less upsetting and less scary. Growing up, I used to think that being strong meant having big muscles, but real strength comes from what is not seen. Real strength comes from helping others. And when you do, you build the most beautiful neighborhood. It's such a good feeling to know we're lifelong friends. And as you grow older, I hope you'll be a helper. You can help by sharing your kindness with others and showing them love. The greatest thing we can do is to let people know that they are loved and capable of loving. Thank you for listening to our children's book. You are a very special person. There is only one you in the world. There's never been anyone like you before, and there never will be again. I am Mr. Rogers, he says, and I like you just the way you are. And I guess I can go home now because that's about it. So many beautiful words. And I love where he said, love is at the root of everything. All learning, all parenting, all relationships, love, or the lack of it. In the book, he talked about love from his mother, from his grandmother, from his grandfather, and also the lack of love from his classmates that bullied him and made him question who he was, what his value was. And we've all had people question our value through our lives. His son later said his dad never forgot that inner child, that hurt child, that uncertain child, and so he could relate to the children that he was speaking to. His wife said, we had childhoods in her day, in their day, where you weren't allowed to be angry as children. My household, it was children should be seen and not heard, right? Fred said music, that piano, was really his first language. He could express his emotions through it. He could express his anger through the way he played it. In the movie they had with Tom Hanks, he demonstrates to this interviewer how he played the low keys loudly to express his anger, banging on the lower keys. He said he could cry through his fingertips. It was an outlet for him. We all need those opportunities to express what's going on inside us, and children certainly don't know how to do that. So this was what he wanted to teach. He used a lot of music. He introduced many musicians to his neighbors. Yo-Yo Ma was on there twice, once with his son when he was 6, and then when his son was 16, playing piano with his dad. The child was playing piano while Yo-Yo Ma played, and just such a great model for children watching. Wynton Marsalis, who explained that he got his first trumpet at 6 years old. He added that he had to practice. I thought it was, I don't know if they prompted him to do that, but he said, I had to practice hard every day to become good, so another model to show the children that doesn't happen overnight. Tony Bennett came and sang to Lady Elaine and demonstrated his artistic ability by drawing her portrait. Itzhak Perlman, and I thought this was a beautiful, again, always trying to show doesn't matter what your situation is in life. He came on the scene walking on his crutches. He had polio when he was 4, and so, sometimes they just show them already seated so they wouldn't show that part. And it was beautiful that he walked out on his crutches, and Fred Rogers took the time to say, you know, and how did this come about? And so he explained that he had polio. And he added, Itzhak Perlman said, you know, you have to separate one's abilities from one's disabilities. So the disabilities have nothing to do with one's abilities. So beautiful. Continuing to spotlight the different abilities, he invited that neighbor Jeff to visit in his electric wheelchair. And he asked, you know, again, sometimes as adults we want to, be polite, don't ask questions. But he would ask those questions. How come you're in a wheelchair? What happened to you? You know, and he explained he had a tumor. And then Mr. Rogers sang that song to him. It's you I like. I don't care about this wheelchair. It's you I like, so it has nothing to do with loving you. He wanted children to be okay asking those questions. He wanted to encourage their wonder about events and things in the world. In Pittsburgh at that time, I don't know if there's much of it now, but at that time there were a lot of little manufacturing plants. And so he would go to all these plants and they would film how do they make things? How do they make peanut butter? How do they make guitars? How do they make bagels, spoons, crayons? And then he would show them on his show. He had a little picture where he would presumably put in the tape and then it would play for the children. So they would learn. He says, I don't want them to think these things just appear from anywhere. You just call Amazon and it delivers, Fred Rogers used every opportunity to educate and inform. He explained, I think people long to be in touch with honesty and not just pretend like everything's okay. So he demonstrated it's okay not to know everything. Daniel Tiger was there struggling to learn his alphabet, A, B, C, D. He said, I don't want to go to school tomorrow. And he said, why? I don't know everything. So we don't want to admit that we don't know everything, so we're going to stay home, right? He had someone on there showing him some dance moves, Mr. Rogers, right? So, and he's trying to follow up, down, push it over this way, and he couldn't quite keep up. And any other show, of course, would probably cut those parts out where he couldn't keep up. Not Mr. Rogers. He said, you have to put that in there because the children have to learn that mistakes are okay. It's part of the learning. And as mentioned in the funding, it was Lyndon Johnson started the funding of public broadcasting in 1967. And then Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was started in 1968 with this national broadcasting of his program. And then in 1969, it was Nixon that sought to remove the funding. We go around this pretty regularly, I guess. And so when it came to Fred Rogers, he said, and again, he's always was against some of the nonsense or the violence that's on TV. He said, we don't have to bop somebody over the head to make drama on the screen. He said, we deal with things like getting a haircut or feelings about brothers and sisters and the kind of anger that arises in simple family situations. And we speak to it constructively. He recited a song he wrote, what do you do with the mad that you feel? What do you do with the mad that you feel when you feel so mad you could bite? When the whole wide world seems, oh, so wrong and nothing you do seems very right. What do? Do you punch a bag? Do you pound some clay or some dough? Do you round up some friends for a game of tag or see how fast you go? It's great to be able to stop when you've planned a thing that's wrong and be able to do something else instead. And think this song. I can stop when I want to, can stop when I wish. I can stop anytime. And what a good feeling to feel like this and know that the feeling is really mine. Know that there's something deep inside that helps us become what we can. For a girl can someday be a woman, and a boy can someday be a man. And after that, of course, the committee chair said, well, it looks like you've got your $20 million. But just to show that, that we're trying to help children have some self-control, know that they can have some self-control. Some people say you don't have to believe everything that comes through your head. The puppet Daniel Tiger allowed him to ask questions of others to reveal other fears, and he said Daniel Tiger can say, I am scared and I need a hug. whereas Fred Rogers couldn't say that to his children. He realized there were subjects that were difficult and often not explained to children, but children were often aware and maybe confused by the world around them. Besides the shows that explored science, and visits to costume shop, visits with neighbors, he used Daniel Tiger to ask those questions. It was 1968. Robert Kennedy was assassinated. On a children's show, Daniel Tiger asked Lady Evelyn, "What does assassination mean?" I mean, he was going to just tackle everything. And she explains, that somebody's killed in a surprise way. And he said, there was all this TV, everybody was watching TV, and the parade with the ceremonies of his funeral. He said, I had to address that. I had to address the grief that was being felt all around them. They had to know that it was okay to feel that way. So after that, they spent a whole week on death. Death of your pets, death of your friends, death of your family members. Not to dance around it, but just hit it head on. This is, for children, how beautiful. It's especially, and then they did, even divorce. He said, kids always think it's their fault, right? Because how come mom and dad aren't here anymore? What did I do wrong? So he wanted, to make that okay. It's okay what you're feeling, but also to understand it's not your fault. During another time, Fred Rogers became upset by the death of a child who was playing Superman. And, this is going on even now, this misunderstanding. I don't know what good programs, I'm sure PBS has good programs, I hope. But it was just so amazing, the topics that he addressed. There was the death of a child who was playing Superman and jumped off a building thinking he could fly. So he again became angry at TV, and this quote could be said today. "I'll tell you what children need. They need adults to protect them from the ever-ready molders of their world." So they did a whole week about superheroes, about pretend. He tried to make sure that they understood what was make-believe. He hosted Margaret Hamilton, the actress who played the original Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz, and had her put her costume on right on screen so they could see this transformation of this woman, and she would put on the costume and the hat and the nose. So he wanted them to know, it was make-believe. And he encouraged them to have their own make-believe, but to, keep in mind what it was real, what's in real life, what's in a video game now, and what's in real life. Fred said he didn't set out to be famous. He just set out to be helpful, and he clearly was. He was simple. He was honest, and he cared. He worked with child development specialists to be sure his approach was appropriate. In the case of a child being hurt by someone, his reply to tell your parents was vetoed. They said, no, you can't say that, because what if they don't have parents? Or what if the parents are the ones hurting them? So he had to rephrase it and say, tell an adult you trust. There were comments on several YouTubes from people who are now adults saying that the Mr. Rogers neighborhood was the only safe hour in their day as a child. That it gave them hope that someone, somewhere, someday, life would not be so hurtful. I didn't know that people treated other people that nice, because they didn't in their world. I really believed it when you said I could be liked just the way I was. We all need to hear that, right? Mr. Rogers was my port in a storm. We all need ports in storms. We seldom know, really, what another person's life is like. And he said, love is at the root of everything. Love is what keeps us together and afloat. And that's as true for children as it is for adults. Adults still have a child within. That part of us sometimes doesn't want to look foolish, learning something new. That part of us that doesn't want to be embarrassed, asking the question. The part of us that thinks we're not good enough. With the imposter syndrome. I like you just the way you are, he would say. Tell yourself that. The mind believes what it's told. Sometimes we tell it the wrong things. Tell others that. We all need to hear it. We are always judging ourselves, beating ourselves up. The world is still a challenge. He never sugarcoated the truth. He faced it. And we should. He said sometimes we need to struggle with a tragedy to feel the gravity of love. and it's all right to feel how you're feeling. Fred's mother said, look for the helpers in the difficult times. There are always helpers in this UU community, in your neighborhoods, in your families. You lean on each other. You learn from each other. You support each other. You forgive each other. When I visit patient rooms, I'm always reminding the family, be sure, lean on each other. Hold each other up. It takes a village, is that common quote. Life is a bumpy road. Nobody's got I had a teacher who would always say, we're all equally beggars here. Nobody gets a free ride. Everybody has their bumps in the road. There's no normal life free of pain. But sometimes that wrestling with those problems is what gives us inner growth. Look for the helpers. Fred Rogers was a helper. Look at your life now. Who are your helpers? Who inspires you to be your best self? Who reminds you, affirms that you are good? You have goodness inside. Who allows you to talk about anything without judgment? Fred Rogers said anything that can be talked about becomes manageable. He says when we talk about our feelings, they become less overwhelming, less upsetting, less scary. I know for me sometimes when I say it out loud, something that's worried me, I suddenly laugh and think, well, that was nothing, right? Sometimes you get it all bottled up. And the people we trust with that important talk can help us know we are not alone. We are never alone. We are never alone. Whether it's in here, out there, angels among us, whatever, right? It's when we keep it bottled up when it hurts. Sometimes I have patients that are so overwhelmed with this instant change in their health and their future and apologize for spontaneously crying as we talk, but I encourage them to let it out. Don't keep it bottled up. My teacher said it's like a balloon with too much air and you have to let some of that out. Be kind to yourself. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. Anything that can be talked about becomes manageable. Are you a helper? Are you willing to be a helper? Willing to listen? As chaplains, it's emphasized how important it is to listen, not try to fix. And remember, you have 2 ears and only 1 mouth, so you should hear twice as much as you talk. The best thing we can do for each other is to listen with our ears and our hearts. And he reminds us some days doing the best we can may still fall short of what we think we should do, but life isn't perfect on any front. And doing what we can with what we have is the most we should expect of ourselves or anyone else. Whether we're giving or receiving help, each one of us has something valuable to bring to this world. That's one of the things that connects us as neighbors. Fred Rogers left us in 2003, but his legacy continues. One of the YouTube videos that I watched was from an adult posting in Australia. He had never seen any of the episodes. They didn't play in Australia. And about 6 months ago, apparently, they had this program, and they were showing him the clips, and you could just see the tears in his eyes. These are universal qualities. In a way, he taught of being in the now, right now, with whomever you're with. He would say, "It's so nice to see you and be with you." And then he would actually be present and see you and be with you in the moment. He would slow down, allow the silent spaces. We can still learn from him. It's really easy to fall in the trap of believing what we do, he said, is more important than what we are. Of course, it's the opposite that's true. What we are ultimately determines what we do. And I like you just the way you are. Blessed be. Amen. And we have a hymn next. Number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
music ringing, it sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost heart, while to that rock I'm clinging. Such love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To presence hell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When the friends of shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
And now it is time for our offering with words from Paul Dalzell titled, "This Place, These People." The offering we take each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people. It is as much as a ritual as singing together, lighting our chalice, or reciting our unison affirmation. It is a reminder of that form of love we call generosity. It is how we show that we believe it is important to worship together, to help our community, and to say yes to the values of our faith. The ushers will now come forward to collect the offering.
You are my friend, you are special, you are my friend. You're special to me, you are the only one like you, my friend. I like you in the daytime, in the nighttime, any time that you feel is the right time for a friendship with me. You see F-R-I-E-N-D, special. You are my friend. You're special to me. There's only one in this wonderful world. You are special.
Fred gave us this wonderful exercise, meditation. So take a moment. You just close your eyes gently. Think about all the people who loved you into being. Remember those who nourished you, those who said just the right thing you needed to hear, who were there when you needed someone, who lifted you up, maybe pointed you in a better direction, who helped you become who you are, who loved you just the way you are. Remember them and send them thanks. He said, whomever you've been thinking about, how pleased they must know they must be to know the difference you feel they've made in their life. And return to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right. Your mantra should be thank you. That's what Muji would say. Your mantra should be thank you. Nothing else. Thank you, thank you. And I thank all of you. So now please join me in extinguishing the chalice. Do you wanna-
But not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.
Fred Rogers said the greatest thing we can do is to let people know that they are loved and capable of loving. Be great, be loving, and repeat after me. You made this day a special day for me. You made this day a special day for me. May God bless you. Amen.
You've probably heard the other songs before. You probably haven't heard this one as much, and it's just too bad because it's a good one.
Okay. Hey, hum the first part for me. Oh, yeah. Okay.
When your heart has butterflies inside it, then your heart is full of love. When your heart feels just like overflowing, then your heart is full of love. Love is fragile as your tears. Love is stronger than your fears. When your heart can sing another's gladness, then your heart is full of love. When your heart can cry another's sadness, then your heart is full of love. Love is fragile as your tears. Love is stronger than your fears. When your heart beats for a special someone, then your heart is full of love. When your heart has room for everybody, then your